The previous Liberal government had proposed the 5 pillars of change in aged care. Pillar 4 outlined their approach to dealing with workforce issues. The new Labour government has plans to also address workforce gaps and plans to add security, dignity, quality, and humanity to the Aged Care Act, which is due to be released in the future. These new policies are designed to ensure that older Australians receive the care they deserve and to support aged care workers by offering them more hours and more pay. The problem is that with unemployment at less than 4%, most of the people available to meet the workforce are already employed, and therefore, we need to find a different approach to recruiting workers. Over 36,000 people are working in aged care, representing 3% of Australia's total workforce. 36% of aged care workers are culturally and linguistically diverse, and 1.5 to 2.3% Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander nurses. 58% of called consumers and 2.7% of Indigenous consumers are not receiving enough care they deserve and prefer. The industry is now facing challenges not only from the high demand for aged care services, but also from the lack of workforce. The number of 65-year-olds is increasing rapidly, but at the same time, nearly 65,000 workers leave the sector each year, many as they complete their university degrees, and others have felt the impact of COVID and are looking for alternatives. Funding has also been challenged, resulting in some providers being unable to increase their salaries to staff or invest in innovative ways of delivering services. Young nurses prefer to work in hospitals to be able to hone their skills. Registered nurses will often leave the system later to work in aged care. But there is still a shortage to meet the increasing needs and complexities of clients with multiple chronic diseases, including increased dementia cases. As we mentioned earlier, registered nurses and young skilled workers are not coming to the sector for many reasons, and it's not easy to change the general attitude of everyone. But finding out what you can do to make your business stands out among your competitors will make you more attractive to new recruits. Here are some simple tips. Compared to hospitals, the aged care workplace promotes emotional connections between workers and the elders, and a positive environment that makes both customers and employees feel happy and comfortable. An inclusive, respectful workplace is great for everyone's emotional well-being. Attract skilled workers and foster potential. Offering traineeship to nursing students and offer positions to outstanding graduates. Be open to migrant workers and don't be afraid to sponsor them. Migrant workers would be a huge asset for your business, not only because of their professional skills and previous work experience in the industry, but also because they will bring along culturally aware services to your called customers. Some workers are not sure about their future career paths. You can help them recognize their strengths and passions and have an open attitude toward offering promotions to the staff who are willing to take on more responsibilities and training, which adds value to your organization. Offer incentives to your staff to recommend other people to work in your business. Lead your business with a growth mindset. Nurturing your staff with a shared goal and belief. Grow with your employees and make sure they are growing in your business too. Offer them career pathways and opportunities. Review your current training program and make sure it aligns with your offerings and internal communication style. It has to be suitable, up-to-date, and tailored for your business. Look at the culture in your business and undertake a pulse survey to see how your employees feel about your business culture. How do they interpret it? How can the work culture improve? And then use the findings to bring on new employees. To better equip your workforce, you need to place the customer needs at the center of your business and ensure that you understand what your workers need to deliver high-quality services. This includes those from a called or ATSA background. Think about it. How will you meet their cultural needs? How will you cater for the nutritional needs of diverse consumers so they can have culturally appropriate foods? How are you training your staff to understand the cultural needs of clients and also how they need to interact with them? PICAC offers the Keys to Diversity course for free. Click the screen to learn more. Let's look at an example of how cultural understanding can avoid consumer conflict and better engage with your consumers. Nat is an Australian aged care worker. She was born and grew up in Perth. She never had anything to do with Chinese culture while she was growing up and doesn't know anything about Chinese people and their communication style. One day, she was working at Mrs. Wang's house, an elderly Chinese lady who immigrated to Australia with her family 3 months ago. It was her first day, and she was finding it challenging to understand Mrs. Wang's strong accent, and was struggling to understand her English. Nat feels offended when Mrs. Wang says to her, "You give me a glass of water." Nat doesn't want to offend Mrs. Wang, so she avoids talking to her and starts cleaning the floor. She ignores Mrs. Wang's requests and pretends she hasn't heard her. One day, Mrs. Wang's son, Eric, emailed Nat's supervisor and said that his mum had mentioned that Nat doesn't speak to her, and she wondered if she has upset Nat. Eric wonders what is happening and why his mum and Nat are not talking. Nat explained everything to her supervisor. Her workplace realized similar complaints happened before because they had received other complaints about workers who had failed to communicate with their called clients and caused misunderstandings. Nat's workplace introduces Keys to Diversity, the PICAC online course to all workers, and organizes face-to-face cultural and diversity workshops training. From the training, Nat realized Mrs. Wang was not being mean to her. However, she might learn that it's just that Mrs. Wang is translating words directly from Mandarin. Nat could also learn a bit more about Mrs. Wang and what she used to do for work. What's her favorite meal? What does she like to do? She could learn a few greetings in Mandarin, like good morning and goodbye. She could learn more about East Asian cultures and then use that to converse with Mrs. Wang. For example, Chinese people tend to view confrontation as immature and unnecessary behavior. Chinese elders tend to be more reserved. It now makes sense to Nat why Ms. Wang did not speak to her about the lack of conversation. This interaction has also become a good life lesson for Nat. She now understands how cultural awareness can help with her job. Now, whenever she visits customers from different cultures, she takes the time to research and learn about their cultures to deliver a better service. This scenario further outlines the importance of encouraging open communication between consumers and providers. Aged care providers have a duty of care to consumers and should ensure that they offer culturally appropriate services. Small and simple changes can help providers better understand of the client and will work with them to improve the quality of care and customers' well-being in an inclusive way that respects their cultural values and needs. We know that workers leave when they are not given training or support to learn how to do their job better. Train your team leaders and managers to work with their staff to better understand how culture can improve your workforce, opportunities for clients and staff to connect on a deeper level, and will attract other workers to your business, helping you to deliver high-quality aged care services. Reach your nearest PICAC provider and let us assist you in developing cultural opportunities for the workforce. Contact us today.